implementation arm, we expect that when we sit together, we are not only able to identify the different deficiencies, but also we create that harmony that you talked about. The harmony that must come from all the stakeholders, the harmony that must come not only in the effort, but also in the understanding of the issues. Sir, we are very grateful that you could spare not only the time for this dialogue, but also give us a whole map of the different laws that you just talked about. So we are very grateful that we would be able to take a lot of guidelines from the laws that are already been enacted and the ones that are in the pipeline. And just because police is the implementing arm, we always try to, on our part, try to do our best that we are able to see the challenges that we have in implementing. So now I request that there's a tea arranged in the officers' mess. Please proceed to the. We gather again at 12 o'clock for the next session.
Thank you so much, Ms. Maria, the Honorable Minister, Law and Justice, Dr. Farooq Naseem Saab, Commandant, National Police Academy, Adi Khaja Saab, Deputy Commandant Saab, senior officials, and the distinguished guests. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. Very briefly about ROSEN, and then definitely I will be sharing the key objectives of today's dialogue. ROSEN is a civil society organization that was established around 2 decades back by a group of committed workers. Also, a lot of our collaboration with different government institutions, police is one of those institutions, and our interaction with the communities to raise consciousness on the issues of violence against women and children. So in this context, I'm very happy today's dialogue is happening, and we all know, I mean, just looking back couple of months, what kind of the scenario was in terms of violence against women and issues in Pakistan. And we saw a rise in the reporting, and at the same time we also saw a lot of, you can say, debate on how this issue should be approached and resolved. So in this context, I'm very happy like NPA has taken up this initiative, and today's dialogue is happening. We are going to have a 3 tiers of discussion in this dialogue. One is like we will be trying to take stock of what kind of legal frameworks that are already in place in Pakistan that address issues of violence against women and violence against women specifically, and then also going beyond that and looking at the implementation side. One thing which is very much encouraging in context of Pakistan, sir, is like Pakistan is one of those countries where the legislative frameworks in terms of dealing violence against women are very much in place. Like very recently, UN Women conducted a study, and they established like more than 70% that actually provide a guidance like how this issue should be resolved and tackled from legal perspective. So this is one aspect of today's dialogue. Second aspect is we really want to have a deep reflection, like what has worked and what did not, and specifically from the implementation side. And here I would like to borrow some words from Ms. Maria, and she was by and again asking, okay, we have to look at the tactics and the strategies basically, because the voices from the field really informs us like there is a disconnect. Lot of legal frameworks are there, but when it comes to the implementation side, specifically when the different service providers, we see a disconnect over there. So we want to unpack that disconnect and see like what kind of further measures need to be taken to ensure the implementation of these legal frameworks. And finally, we really want to discuss not only the why and what question, but okay, how question is also very, very important. Like how to take this whole work a step ahead to ensure, like, yes, what sort of the legal frameworks are there and the implementation gaps are there, like what are the other recommendations that are required to take this step ahead. So these are some of the key objectives in which we have framed this 2 days dialogue, and we have named it dialogue because we do not want to make it like a kind of a discussion with one person just speaking, but where all the participants who actively are engaged and they share their input. So finally, we will be sharing a set of recommendations with all the key stakeholders. So I'm very happy like we are having this discussion, and let's put together our heads, hearts and souls, like, and hands actually, and make happen like the space and all the space and the whole environment is safe for women and girls in Pakistan. Thank you so much.
Minister for Law, Dr. Farooq Naseem Saab, the Mr. Bashir from Rosen, the ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Violence against women is a subject which is close to the heart of every civilized society. It is a social norm and a crime both together in our society. Unfortunately, the statistics suggest that the 1 in every 3 women are subjected to some form of the violence throughout the world, globally. The situation in Pakistan is no better. The World Women's Security and Peace Ranking in 2019 has suggested that Pakistan is ranked at number 164 out of 167 countries. Our status amongst the South Asian countries as far as the financial inclusion and the social norms is considered to be one of the worst. Although we are ahead in some areas like the representation of women in the parliament and the overall gender situation in Pakistan. But still, I think, the situation warrants that we should have some serious introspection to see that where do we stand. Historically, in Pakistan, we have started this very late. The laws pertaining to the violence against women were enacted very late in the early 2000s. If we look into the early 80s, we will find that probably there were discriminatory laws against women. Rather, to end the discrimination, there were certain laws which encouraged and suggested discrimination in Pakistan. Luckily, with the new forms of the government in the late 90s and the early 2000s, we saw certain very progressive legislation, including the constitutional amendments. Article 225 of the Constitution very clearly lays down equality of the gender and equality of sex in Pakistan. Further to that, we had some subsequent legislation for making it very difficult for the criminals to perpetrate this crime on women. After all this legislation from the year 2000 to the 2016, a number of legislations have occurred, and there are all progressive legislation which will be discussed in due course of time during this seminar. But the problem is we stand where we stood, some 10 years back. There has been no progress into the overall status of women. Our daughters, our mothers, our sisters, they're all subjected to some kind of violence at the workplace, in the family, by the intimate partners, and this is happening very frequently in our society. And the most unfortunate part is that probably it is an accepted norm in our society. Keeping in view, probably the reason for this is that the the implementation side or the enforcement side has not come up to that standard. And the reason for that is probably there is a lack of inclination or lack of training, the lack of sensitization of the police officers over this crime. Unless the enforcement side or the criminal justice side is geared up to meet the expectations, probably it will be very difficult for women to get justice in Pakistan. The criminal justice system in Pakistan is not only a very lengthy, but it's also very expensive. The police officers or the structure available for the implementation of on the laws of violence against women is very weak. If we look into the status of the police stations in the provinces, probably the least priority is given to the crime against women. The overall condition, as we look into the whole affairs, is also very dismal. So, keeping in view the overall situation that we are facing, I think this is high time that the National Police Academy, which is a premier training institution, to organize this dialogue with the assistance of the ROSAN. I am grateful to the partners for assisting the National Police Academy on this very important issue. What is to be done? This national dialogue is not only to map the legal framework that is available, but this is also an opportunity to look into the overall social administrative conditions which are conducive for the implementation of this law. This problem of violence on women is not only a legal problem, it's a very intricate, complex social problem. And I think we should try to understand that without addressing these social and intricate cultural issues, it will not be possible to address it straightforwardly into with one solution of the implementation of laws. So this dialogue has been arranged in order to map the legal framework, to see whatever the administrative and the social framework that is available, to see whatever the political conditions are there in the country, and to identify the loopholes in implementation of those policies and those laws. Unless we come together, unless we discuss and identify those loopholes, it will be difficult for us to implement those policies. I expect that the National Police Academy at the end of this seminar will be able to document the outcomes of this seminar, make certain solid recommendations which will not only be beneficial for the police forces throughout Pakistan, but we will be able to send some set of recommendations to the provinces or to the stakeholders to make sure that the life and the honor of the woman in Pakistan is improved, and we should make sure that this vulnerable segment of our society is protected, and we must live not only to the constitutional guarantees given to the woman, but also to the international obligations that we have towards the international community. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. AD Waja Saab, my dear friend, Deputy Commandant Saab, gentlemen from ROSAN, friends, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me today. I was not aware that you had these seminars, and I am really glad to see that the participation, the level of concern. But when I would start to talk about some of the reforms that we've done the last 3 years, you'd be pleasantly surprised. It seems that some of them have not reached the ears and eyes of the participants. But having said that, just a word of caution. These world rankings, don't believe them. We've had the Disinfo lab before you. We have a neighbor, उसका सिर्फ काम ये है कि पाकिस्तान को बदनाम करे. I'm being very honest with you. I mean, they could say that our world ranking for women protection is bad. Look what happens in India, in the streets of India. No foreign woman who walks in the streets of India, Bombay or Delhi is safe. What happens to them? I don't want to repeat. They talk about the world ranking of the justice system in Pakistan. Now we made some inquiries, and someone ranked somebody, and suddenly they said, oh, United States or the United Nations, they've ranked the Pakistani legal index at number so and so. When we find out it's a small room in which there is an NGO, and that NGO has ranked Pakistan, and interestingly, India is very well ranked in that. You know how many years it takes in India to get a civil case or a criminal case decided? I think it's worse than in Pakistan. But their ranking, interestingly and surprisingly, is much better than ours. Having said that, we don't have to be complacent. I don't say that we have to be complacent. We have to have our feet stuck in the ground, and we have to understand that we have a very high moral standard and a very high-ranking heritage. I will be absolutely failing in my duty if I would not start from the Holy Quran, where it says, Surah Nisa, where it says, treat women with kindness even if you dislike them. And then it says, and it talks about women being a source of abundant good. And then again, the Quran says, the believers, men and women, are protectors of one and another. And then it warns the man that how you have to treat a woman. You have to give her the rights that they're not my rights. Allah has given those rights. So if I don't give the rights to women, then I violate my scriptures. I violate the Holy Quran. Prophet ﷺ, in his last sermon, he said that, okay, you have rights, but your women have rights over you. So you've got to be very careful as far as men are concerned. At the Law Ministry, in the last 3 years, I just tell you what we've done. What we did, because I believe that unless and until women are financially empowered, nothing would be done good for the women. Nothing can we do except make laws and make sure that they're implemented so that women are financially empowered. And for that, we have legislated the Enforcement of Women's Property Rights Act 2020. Now, if you would take stock, look at the statistics, look around, you would see that behind every woman's property rights being violated, there is a man. After the death of the father, there is a brother or a step-brother, an uncle or a step-uncle who's depriving that woman of her rights in the property. Look, we all have daughters, we all have sisters, and we've got to make sure that whatever we do, we try to provide the base for the enforcement of their rights. On an average, 50% of the population of Pakistan comprises women. And we all know this. On an average, plus minus 2 to 5%, there could be variation. So under this law, what we've done, we have given the women ombudsman all police and executive powers to enforce the property rights of women. Most of the times, these rights in the property, as far as women are concerned, are simple rights. If there is a demise in the family, the father passes away, then according to our Sharia, there is a property percentage that goes to the woman. So let's enforce that. And the woman ombudsman can call the police, the executive arm, the DMG officers, the civil administration, whosoever. And within 3 months, she can pass corrective orders, she can install the woman into possession of the property. If there is someone who is taking away her rent, she can enforce that so that the rent goes to the woman. So most of the times, if you would take stock and look at the statistics, 95% of these women rights, as far as financial rights are concerned, they're not disputed. All that you require is a good and clean, effective enforcement mechanism. Now, courts of law, as you would see, they are too bogged down. There's so much of work on the courts, being very honest with you. Every possible person in this society is a litigator. Everyone wants to get his rights addressed through the court of law. There is no one who believes that maybe if I have a dispute with Mr. X would be right. Every one of us in Pakistan, they believe that the way we think our rights are, that is the correct way, and therefore the court should enforce it, and the court has a wand, a magic wand. It just shakes the wand and the case is decided. No, it doesn't happen like that. I would cite Justice Nasir Aslam Zahir when he was the Chief Justice of the Sindh High Court. I think this was the year in 1992 when he said, look, we don't have a magic wand. We don't have the crystal ball. We cannot see. We only look at the paper, whatever is before us, the file, look at the evidence, and we decide. We don't have a mechanism whereby we can determine the real truth. The real truth will be whatever comes out from the file. And that takes time. So first of all, we also need to maybe change our attitudes, and we need to understand that whenever we are in dispute with any adversary of ours, we should try to understand whether we are on the right. It is not always true that we are always on the right. That we should try to understand what the other person is saying and suggesting. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. And we've got to be honest about our rights. And when we are honest about our rights, then the threshold of the litigation will go down. The courts will have more space. The police will have more space. Some of the reforms that we have already implemented, and some of the reforms that we are going to implement, I'll just tell you how the burden on the police will also come down. In the criminal reforms that we are about to introduce, and I think in a month's time we'll be able to table the bill, we have for every offense which is not against women, every offense which is less than 7 years, we are providing a mechanism of plea bargain. And if this plea bargain system works well, and it has worked well in other countries, many other countries, and it is not just under the NAB law that this plea bargain should exist, it should exist across the system, across the criminal justice system. As a practicing lawyer, I have seen that a man is charged with a particular offense. There may or may not be full evidence against him. The court dribbles for 20 to 25 years and the person is acquitted for lack of evidence. The witnesses don't turn up. So there's no point in subjecting that particular person or putting the entire criminal justice system in travail. And these are some of the amendments that we've done. So I was talking about the women enforcement rights, and through this statute, and this statute has been passed in the ICT, this has been passed in KP, this statute has been passed in the Punjab. I'm not aware that Sindh has taken up this very important statute. Balochistan, I think, has also not taken up this statute. But if KP, Punjab and ICT, they're able to properly enforce women's rights across the board, and the applicant in this case could be the woman herself, could be a friend of that woman, could be an NGO, could be any stranger, could be the police. Anyone can file a complaint to get any woman's property rights enforced through the ombudsman. Now, in case the ombudsman finds that the case is complicated, then what he or she will do, she will then make a reference. She'll engage a lawyer, and that lawyer will draft a reference, and that reference will be sent to the civil court. It will relieve that particular woman from trying to find the best lawyer or trying to afford that lawyer. And that reference will be sent to the civil court and will be treated as a civil suit. So all these steps will obviously be a great relief for the woman, but it will have to be implemented. The law ministry or the law minister cannot implement these laws. These laws are to be implemented by every one of us. Some of the laws that I've made, the implementation part has to be done by the police and the courts. You know, sometimes these indexes, they come, that Pakistan is ranked as 120 out of 121 in its legal and justice ranking, and there is a panic in the media. And I ask them some of the times, my dear friends, the journalists, I tell them, look, the federal government, the law minister, the law secretary, they can only make the laws, suggest a way forward. These have to be implemented by the people, by the courts, by the police. But then again, my earlier point that don't go by these ratings, just take your own stock and see where we stand. If you compare the awareness, say about 50 years ago, 40 years ago, and the awareness which is now with regard to women emancipation and women rights, there's a world of a difference in Pakistan. I'm not saying that we have reached the optimum level. A lot needs to be done. Actually, women are to be educated. Women are to be told what their rights are. More than the police or the lawyers or the law ministry or the judges knowing what these rights are. I think the women are to be informed. Some participants, some ladies are here, and I'll be surprised whether they know about this law, that this law exists, that there is a law with regard to women enforcement of their property rights. So this is where we request the local governments, we request the police, we request the media to propagate these laws so that the women of our country are educated, they are told, they are informed that these are our rights. Then, of course, we had the Legal Aid and Justice Authority Statute. This is also 2020. And under this, if there is a criminal case with regard to women and children, then a whole legal aid mechanism has been given throughout Pakistan. Earlier, the legal aid system, which was under the district judge, for some reason it wasn't working, and I think the main reason was that the district judge didn't have the time. And therefore, we have put this under the Ministry of Human Rights. I have drafted this law, and it really takes care of a lot of problems that give rise to legal aid with regard to petty crimes or even major crimes with regard to women and children. And if this is enforced, this has to be enforced at different levels, and it will make a world of a difference. We also have a domestic violence statute. This is the Domestic Violence Prevention and Protection Act 2020. There are some cultural, social, religious issues, and we have referred the matter to the Council of Islamic Ideology because we are not there to be at loggerheads with anyone. We want the entire system to work in harmony. Whether it is the Council of Islamic Ideology, it is the clergy, it is the emancipated class, the liberal class, or the middle class like myself and Mr. Eddy. So we all want the entire system to work in harmony. Then we had the anti-rape laws. Now the anti-rape laws are laws which are very important. What happened was that we got it through the National Assembly. An ordinance was promulgated. We got it through the National Assembly. For certain reasons, these two ordinances have lapsed in the Senate, but they are being put in the joint session, and I'm pretty hopeful that they be passed because these laws are such which have been very favorably commented by the Lahore High Court, by many international commentators, although I've told you I don't believe in these indexes, but if there is a favorable comment, I think I'd like to take that. Now what this anti-rape law does, it creates a special court for the sexual or the violence against women offenses. It creates an anti-rape crisis cell. It creates a set of independent support advisors. There is a category of sex offenders. There is to be a sex register which is to be made by the NADRA and maintained by it. And under this statute, what we've done, we have made the adverse character of a woman to be inadmissible. अब देखिए होता क्या था, हम सब बैठे हुए ऑल पाकिस्तानी, तो होता ये था, एक औरत पर इल्ज़ाम लगा दिया, एक औरत ने किसी पर इल्ज़ाम लगाया, उस पर इल्ज़ाम लगा दिया उसके कैरेक्टर का. एक चीज़ होती थी 2 फिंगर टेस्ट, जिसको पूरी दुनिया ने रिजेक्ट कर दिया, हम उसको फॉलो कर रहे हैं. इस कानून ने उस 2 फिंगर टेस्ट को अबॉलिश कर दिया. इस कानून ने they've made an adverse character of a woman to be inadmissible. मतलब ये कि उस औरत के साथ ज्यादती हो गई, उस पे ये कहा जा रहा है कि जी अच्छा ठीक है, वो फलां 20 साल पहले तो तुम्हारा किसी से फलाने से लव अफेयर था ना, उसका एविडेंस दिखाया और उस भेड़िए नुमा इंसान को एक्विट करवा दिया. We have banned that. All of that has now become inadmissible. But that doesn't mean, look, we've got to balance the system. That doesn't mean that the system should be favorable to one gender and unfavorable to the other. There has to be balance. Now, a type of law such as this, a great responsibility now will come upon the women. There have been, even in this tenure of 3 years in the law ministry, I have heard false accusations being made by some women. अब किसी कोई कहीं काम कर रही है, उसको प्रमोशन नहीं मिला, उसने जी हरासमेंट का केस कर दिया. ये भी नहीं करें ना, ऐसे नहीं करें. होगा क्या अगर आप ये करेंगी? तो जो मेरे जैसे एडी जैसे लोग हैं जो आपके साथ खड़े हुए, अपनी बहनों के साथ खड़े हुए, हमें पीछे हटा दिया जाएगा. हम जैसे लोग जो खड़े हुए हैं ताकि ख़वातीन के जो हुकूक हैं उनको दिलवाया जाए. और अगर ये अमल जो है, और सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट होता है, और जो होता है उसको पनिश होना चाहिए, ऐसे मर्द को बिल्कुल होना चाहिए, लेकिन फिर झूठी कंप्लेंट्स भी नहीं होनी चाहिए. ये इसमें देखिए, इसमें आपकी हमारी बहनों की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बढ़ जाती है. ये हमारी बहनें जो हैं, फिर उसमें से अगर कोई ऐसी काली भेड़ें हैं, हमारी बहनें उनको देखें, उनको चेक करें. वरना देखिए ये फिर सिस्टम नहीं चलेगा. इस किस्म के लॉ बन गए और फिर अगर मिसाल के तौर पे 100 केसेस जेन्युइन है हरासमेंट के, 5 केसेस झूठे हैं, वो 5 केसेस की ना फिर इतनी शोहरत होगी कि ये जो 100 केसेस के लिए जो ये लॉ बना है ना, ये सब पीछे चला जाएगा. तो मेरे ख्याल में देखिए, कुरान पाक जो है ना, ख़वातीन का स्टेटस इधर है, ख़वातीन के पैर में जन्नत है. फॉर गॉड सेक, आपका स्टेटस बहुत बड़ा है. जो ख़वातीन ये कहती हैं ना कि जी इस्लाम उनका स्टेटस जो है वो इन्फीरियर रखता है, आई एम सॉरी, वो देखा ही नहीं, समझा ही नहीं. آپ کے پیر کے نیچے جنت رکھی ہوئی ہے اللہ کی ذات نے. اس سے بڑا کوئی اسٹیٹس ہو سکتا ہے؟ With a higher status comes a higher responsibility. And the higher responsibility, the highest responsibility is to be truthful. You've got to be very truthful. اور آپ یہ سمجھیں کہ ایسا نہ ہو کہ آپ کی کسی ایک عمل سے آپ کی تمام دوسری بہنوں کے رائٹس جو ہیں وہ جیپرڈی میں آ جائیں. لوگ کہیں یار یہ تو دیکھیے، اب میں یہ بات کر رہا ہوں نا کیونکہ میں نے دیکھا ہے زیادہ تر کیسز جینون ہیں. 2-4 کیسز جو جینون نہیں ہیں اس کی وجہ سے باقی لوگ، باقی جو ہماری بہنیں ہیں ان کی کیسز متاثر ہو رہے ہیں. ایسے نہیں کریں. نمبر 1. نمبر 2، یہ جو اینٹی ریپ کا جو ہم نے لا بنایا ہے اس کے اندر میں اس کی کاپیاں اے ڈی صاحب آپ کی طرف بھی بھیجتا ہوں. وی آر ناؤ گوئنگ ان دی جوائنٹ سیشن. اس کے اندر اگر آپ کے یہاں کوئی اس میں امپروومنٹ ہے، ہمارا کوئی ایگو نہیں ہے، ہمیں بتائیے، ہم امپروو اس کو کر دیں گے. ہماری ڈیلی اس پہ میٹنگز ہو رہی ہیں. ایون ٹوڈے وی ہیو اے میٹنگ ایٹ 7:30. اگر اس میں آپ کے یہاں کوئی ہمارے لا منسٹری آ سکے، کوئی آپ کا ریپ، اس کو بھیج دیں پلیز. آج 7:30 بجے یہ میں لاز بھی آپ کے پاس چھوڑ جاؤں گا. اینڈ اٹ از ناٹ جسٹ دیز اینٹی ریپ لاز، ویو آلسو امپرووڈ دا ڈیفینیشن آف ریپ. ریپ کی اپنی ڈیفینیشن جو سارا سال سے ایک چلی جا رہی تھی، دیٹ ہیڈ بیکم آرکیک، دیٹ واز ناٹ بینگ پراپرلی امپلیمنٹڈ، اور اس کو بھی ہم نے سارے کو چینج کیا ہے. آئی لیو آل آف دیز اینڈ ول، اب پھر آپ اس کو دیکھیے گا. اینڈ ان دا کرمنل ریفارمس what we are doing, we are introducing a section 354 capital B, and that is called stalking a woman. It says if a woman complains to the officer in charge of a police station that she is being stalked by a man, the officer shall issue a notice to the man, and upon finding his explanation to be unsatisfactory through a written order, shall issue a caution to the man warning him to remain away from the complainant on such terms and conditions as deemed fit. ایسے مرد حضرات ہیں نا، وہ سمجھتے ہیں کہ ان کا رائٹ ہے کہ کسی کو بھی اسٹاک کرے. دیکھیے، if a woman says no, it means no. Understand this. بنیادی چیز اس میں کوئی مردانگی نہیں ہے کہ عورت منع کر رہی ہے اور آپ جو ہیں وہ اپنی مردانگی میں ڈونٹ ڈو دس، ڈونٹ ابیوز دس. یہ ہم مرد جو ہیں، جو بہادر اور غیرت مند مرد ہوتا ہے نا، اس کے لیے چھوٹی بات ہے. ڈونٹ ڈو دس اینڈ ڈونٹ اسٹاک اے وومن. اور اسی لیے اب یہ لا بن رہا ہے کہ یو فالوئنگ اے وومن، یو اسٹاکنگ اے وومن. پھر عورت جو ہے جب کمپلین کرے گی تو پھر یہ آپ پر ہے. پولیس پھر کرے گی، اس کو نوٹس دے گی، پوچھے گی کیوں اسٹاک کر رہے ہو. اینڈ ایف دی ایکسپلینیشن از انسیٹسفیکٹری تو پھر وہ ایک کوشن آرڈر پاس کرے گا. آپ ایک کوشن آرڈر پاس کریں گے. اگر وہ کوشن آرڈر کو وائلیٹ کرے گا، جیسے فار ایگزامپل آپ نے یہ کوشن آرڈر پاس کیا کہ اچھا جی ٹھیک ہے، آئندہ آپ اس کو ٹیکسٹ نہیں کریں گے، واٹس ایپ نہیں کریں گے، ای میل نہیں کریں گے، ٹیلی فون نہیں کریں گے، اس کے گھر کے باہر کھڑے نہیں ہوں گے، اس کو فالو نہیں کریں گے. یہ کراچی لاہور میں اس طرح ہوتا ہے نا، یہ کرتے ہیں، نہیں کرنا چاہیے. اچھا جب یہ ہوگا اور اس کو وہ لڑکا یا مرد وائلیٹ کرے گا، اس کا کرمنل اوفینس ہے. اس پہ 3 یا 6 مہینے کی سزا ہم نے دی ہے، 1 لاکھ روپے فائن دیا ہے، اور اگر وہ ریپیٹ کرے گا تو بڑھ جائے گا، وہ 3 سال سزا ہو جائے گی اور وہ 5 لاکھ فائن ہو جائے گا. تو اے ڈی صاحب، وی آر ڈوئنگ وٹ ایور وی کین. ہم صرف یہ آپ سے ریکویسٹ کریں گے ہمیشہ کی طرح کہ آپ ہماری رہنمائی کریں. آپ ہمیں بتائیں کوئی ایسا اینگل ہے، کوئی ایسا ایشو ہے آپ کو لا منسٹری سے لیجسلیٹ کرانا ہے. وی آر ریڈی اینڈ ولنگ ٹو ڈو دیٹ. بٹ ایٹ دی اینڈ آف دا ڈے پولیس جو ہے میں اس کو بڑا ہائی ریٹ کرتا ہوں. اگر یہ ہماری سول بیوروکریسی نہیں ہو، ان پرٹیکولر دا پولیس، یہ کوئی بھی مہذب معاشرہ فنکشن نہیں کر سکتا. ہمارے معاشرے میں عام پولیس کو برا بھلا کہہ دیتے ہیں، اور کرپشن تو ہر جگہ ہے. اس کا یہ ہرگز مطلب نہیں ہے کہ ہم کرپشن کو کم نہیں کریں. ہم آپ کے سامنے رول ماڈل بیٹھا ہوا ہے ایک آدمی, کتنی انٹیگریٹی سے اتنی اس نے اپنی زندگی گزاری, ہمیں تو پتہ ہے. اور اسی طرح بہت سے پولیس آفیسرز ہیں, میں جانتا ہوں سینئر پولیس آفیسرز ہیں, بڑی انٹیگریٹی والے. اور یہی آپ جیسے انٹیگریٹی والے جو پولیس آفیسرز ہیں, اس کی وجہ سے یہ ملک ہے. اینڈ ایز فار ایز آئی ایم کنسرنڈ, جو قربانیاں آپ نے دی ہیں, جو پولیس نے قربانیاں دی ہیں, وی آل ایکنالج دیٹ. تھینک یو ویری مچ.
Sir, thank you very much.